Being overlooked happens to everyone at some point in life. It's how you respond that defines who you become. And in the 2018 NBA draft, one player in particular found himself falling into the shadows of the other top prospects. I'm here today to tell you why Kevin Knox is the best rookie nobody's talking about, and could quite possibly be the steal of the draft. Kevin Knox is the 6'9" forward drafted by the New York Knicks number 9 overall out of the University of Kentucky. He averaged 15.6 points per game, shooting 34% from 3 and 51% from inside the arc. One of the major factors of Knox's game is his shooting ability. He has a smooth jumper for a 6'9" player. He's great at running off screens and finding open space, and can shoot both off the catch and off the dribble. I think his ability to shoot will be a main reason why he's able to adjust to the NBA quickly. At this point in time in the NBA, the ability to shoot is huge no matter what position you are or what size you are, whether it be from 3-point or mid-range. And he can do both. He's really good at coming off the screens. At Kentucky, they ran a lot of sets for him to read the defender off ball. And I think that's a huge skill to have in the NBA, especially at his size. Not a lot of players in his position are able to do that. Very select few. And the ones that are able to do that are some of the elite scorers in the NBA at that size. That leads me into the next thing that I think is one of his most intriguing aspects of his game, and that's the fact that he's such a versatile scorer. He can score at all 3 levels, which is a characteristic that all of the best scorers in the NBA have, whether it be from the 3-point line, mid-range area, or around the basket. He can create those shot opportunities with his handles. They're not flashy, but they're effective. Think of guys like Jayson Tatum, Jaylen Brown, guys who use effective moves at that size to get what they want on the basketball court. He has a great mid-range floater game. That's something that not a lot of guys his size have, but his floater game is actually one of the biggest aspects of his offensive arsenal. And I think that's something that is a staple of many great scorers in the NBA. You think of some of the best scorers have that floater, whether it be guys like Steph Curry, Westbrook, John Wall, and those are all point guards. So to be 6'9" and have that in your bag is something that's pretty interesting to me, and I think that's going to be cool to see how that develops in the NBA and how he's able to use that to his advantage against defenders. He's probably the most gifted offensive forward in the draft this year. A lot of guys have compared him to Mikal Bridges and Miles Bridges, and also Michael Porter Jr. Michael Porter Jr. may have a little bit higher of a offensive arsenal when he's healthy, but you just don't know about him right now. So I'm going to go ahead and say that Knox is the more gifted offensive player at this point in time until we see what's going on with Michael Porter Jr. But for sure, when you look at Knox's game, the way he's able to create his shot, the way he's able to get what he wants on all 3 levels of the basketball court, that's something that's definitely going to separate him from the other rookies in this class at his position. Now, another good aspect of his game is the fact that he's a really good athlete. His length allows him to cover ground in the paint and elevate over defenders. He's got a good Euro step game. He can get in there, finish above the rim. His ability to play above the rim is something I wish he would take better advantage of. I think a lot of times he settles for jumpers when he had opportunities to get in the lane and make something happen, and that's something that will come over time. But right now, that's one aspect that he's kind of lacking in. He catches a lot of alley-oops in fast break situations, so he can get above the rim. It's just a matter of him deciding that's something he wants to use more in his game. Now, some things he kind of needs to work on. One, like I've already mentioned a couple times, is his shot selection. Oftentimes early in the season, he would settle for some really bad threes. He would look for shots that weren't there or might have been there in high school that weren't there in college. Well, now he's going to be on a whole nother level in the NBA. He's going to have to take smart threes, know when to create a shot and know when to pass it and get the offense flowing. And that's stuff that's going to come over time with experience. So it's not really something I don't think you should worry about as much. But it's definitely something that affected his numbers and percentages in college. Now, his effort on defense is something that is there sometimes, but usually only when he's strongly involved in the offense. At times during the game, whenever he wasn't as involved in the offense or he wasn't getting as many touches, his defense kind of lacked. And in the NBA, you're not going to be able to play like that because every night someone else is going to be the hot hand. So you can't always be expecting to be the focal point of the offense unless you're that caliber of a player, which Knox may get to that point eventually, but especially his rookie year, he won't be at that level. So he's going to have to get to the point where he's always zoned in on defense. And I think the number one thing he needs to work on that could take his game to a whole nother level is he has to develop that killer instinct. You think of all the great NBA scorers, they're aggressive, they're confident. At times, Knox is just too passive. when he should have that put the team on my back mentality. At Kentucky, a lot of times there'd be long stretches of the game where he wasn't really affecting what was going on the court. And a guy at his caliber should never be that way. He should be the type of guy that can take over a game. He has the ability, he has the offensive skill set. The next thing will be him getting that mentality that I'm going to go get a bucket and no one's going to stop me. And the minute he gets that mentality, he will take his game to a whole nother level. Knox has drawn comparisons to some elite level scoring forwards in the NBA, including the likes of Paul George and newcomer Jayson Tatum. While both of them were more consistent in college, the numbers themselves aren't too far apart when you compare the three. Knox averaged more points per game than Paul George's freshman year, while shooting an identical 3-point percentage to Tatum. Now, both Paul George and Jayson Tatum averaged a higher rebound and assist total than Knox, but the fact that all three players have such similar offensive stats does make you wonder. Kevin is one of the youngest players to ever be drafted out of college. Currently, he's only 18 years old. This is going to leave him a lot of time to grow and room to learn the game, and I think that Knicks fans should be extremely excited about the future with this guy and what he can develop into on the offensive end, but also just as a franchise player in general. Kevin Knox has as high a ceiling as anyone in this draft. He possesses all the tools needed to become an elite offensive threat and has a perfect situation in New York to develop. As we saw on draft night, the mecca of basketball can be a little ruthless, but if Knox can continue to mold his game in the direction of guys like Paul George and Jayson Tatum, maybe even Jaylen Brown, we could see a bright future in the Knicks franchise centered around him, Porzingis, and Frank, as well as other young lottery picks they can pick up in the draft in future years. It's been too long since the Knicks were relevant in the NBA, and a guy like Knox, if he fulfills his potential, could be just the spark they've been missing. I want to thank you guys for watching this video. Thank you so much for your constant support. I want to ask you, please drop a like, leave feedback in the comment section below. Tell me what you think of Kevin Knox in his game and why you think he's being so overlooked in this draft, because he clearly has the potential to be one of the better players. Please also subscribe for more. Remember to turn on post notifications so you don't miss any new content. We got some great stuff coming up, some great original series that I think you guys are really going to enjoy. Episode 2 of I Promise is coming out soon. I ask you, please check out episode 1 if you haven't. Following the life of a college basketball player is something that I think you really enjoy. But I don't want to take any more time into your day. God bless.